Hey, hey, hey. Ernest, you good?
Hey Ben, I'm good.
All right. Looks like we are functioning here. So, want to kick this off. Welcome, everyone, to today's webinar. It is called Effective Collaboration with Microsoft Teams. I'm Ben Tigelaar, the CEO of DataTel. And so, joining me today is Ernest Murray. He's DataTel's Chief Information Security Officer, and he's going to be driving the boat today. And at DataTel, we've spent years helping businesses getting the most out of IT and turning it from a cost center into something that drives revenue for your business. So the way that we've seen Teams used is either in a really good way or in a really atrocious way. And we're going to help you try to figure out a way today to set things up right from a foundational perspective so that you're set up in the right direction. So if you've ever thought Teams is a total mess, well, we're going to be honest, the problem is probably you. So it's a fantastic platform when set up correctly. It's a game changer for communication, productivity, helping drive better results in your business. So this is what we're trying to aim to accomplish today. And so today's webinar is hands-on. Ernest is going to drive and show you the approach of how to set up and be successful in Teams. So kick it over to you, Ernest.
Thank you, Ben. Hey everybody. Hope you're having an awesome day today. We will dive into stuff here. So Microsoft Teams, um, it started off as more of a chat function, right? They built it to compete with Slack. Microsoft took a really cool turn with it though and decided to turn it into a full collaboration platform. So it's no longer just chat and communication, but there's also file storage. There's integrations with things like task management, to note taking, meetings, webinars like the one that you're on today. It's become a very holistic platform for communication and interaction, both within your company and outside of it. Um, so what we're going to take a look at today first is just the basics. Like let's look at what Teams is and what the different buttons are, because it is, while it is very powerful, it also can be very confusing. And unless you have the time to go and click through all of the individual things, you might not know what all exists there. So the Microsoft Teams interface, we'll just start from the basics. On the left side is your main menu to navigate between the major sections. So your main sections are things like activity, which is going to show you all of the recent posts or activities that you have notifications turned on for, or direct messages to you. Chat is for direct communication between you and somebody else, or small groups of people that you've set up small chat rooms with. Teams is for collaborating between both teams and channels, which we'll talk about in a moment. This is designed more for group communication. Your calendar, which mirrors your Outlook calendar, is also where you can schedule meetings and webinars, other things that are important. Calls are for calls. There's even a phone system built into Teams. It lacks a lot of functionality. It's one of the newer things, and Microsoft's working on amping that up. But at the moment, it's not a fantastic phone system. OneDrive for file storage, and then we can add other apps and shortcuts and links here on the side, which again we'll get into. The second section here is your main navigation. So as you move between your major sections, you'll notice the other two sections adjust to match what you're looking at. So when we're in a Teams, when we're looking at the Teams major category, your subsections are going to be your teams, and then the channels that you have within those teams. And the third section is going to be diving into whatever you specifically have selected. So under the DataTel demo team, we have a general channel, and this is now showing us the details of that channel. Now let's take a quick look at how to create a team. Right up here at the top, it gives you the ability to create teams or create channels. A team is a major category. So we generally recommend that you create teams for the major components within your organization. So you will have one for operations, one for sales, one for management. Look at your organizational structure and create teams around that same organizational structure. Your teams are the major categories of the organization. Then within each team, you can create multiple channels. And a channel is how you're segmenting things out. So, for example, for us, we've got one that's a praise channel where we say, hey, here's all the cool things that people are saying about us. Here's all the feedback that we're getting from clients. Here's things that we're internally saying are great about each other. All of that goes into a separate channel. And then we have a general channel that's for general communication. Maybe for you, you'll have one for operations, and then you'll have one for each of your different products, or one for each of the major categories of however you're organizing within your company. So you may have operations, you may have a channel for, say, shipping, you may have a channel for warehouse. That's the way that the best way to structure it is use your channels more than you use teams. Within each channel, we've got functionality. So things like posting, pretty straightforward. You can go through and create a post. People can respond to that post. The post functionality within Teams is amazing, and it's very detailed and very powerful. You have functionality like the ability to do quoting. You can put in your subject lines of what you're trying to do. You can add in emojis and GIFs, things that are fun for people to interact with. You can attach files. One of the components that I like is, and that I use quite often, is your delivery options and setting something as either a standard message or an important message. If you mark a message as important, what's going to happen is it's going to ping everybody in that channel to make sure that they see it, that they read it. It's going to mark it as a high priority item for them to see. You can also adjust a post type. So you can make it just a regular post, or you can make it an announcement. And if you make it an announcement, you can add backgrounds. There's some AI capabilities to go in and make it fun, make it something that is going to grab people's attention, so that they'll see your content and what you're putting in there. All right, let's take a look at file sharing within Teams. So for every channel, remember you can have a team, and then within each team you have multiple channels. Every channel has its own Files tab. Now, Files is using SharePoint on the back end. So all of the functionality that exists in SharePoint and OneDrive also exists here. One of the things that I like to do, or that I find very helpful, is this sync button, because working with files through a web browser is not very intuitive to most people. Most folks are used to using files through a regular file share. By using this sync button right here, it actually uses OneDrive to create a folder on your computer that all of those files are available in. It doesn't download them, but kind of like Dropbox, it keeps the ones that you've used recently on your computer, and then the rest are in the cloud and download on demand. But it allows you to interact with the files just like you would in a regular normal file share, just like you do with your documents or your desktop. So the files in that sync button are really key components and really cool. Within your files, remember that anybody who has access to the channel has access to the files within that channel. So from a security perspective, organize your teams and channels, again, based on the way your company is structured, and with that in mind that the file structures are going to be the same. All right, let's take a look at other collaboration options. In addition to posts, where you can talk with each other, files, where you can share files with each other, it also comes built in with a notebook. This is a wiki-like system. It's OneNote, if you're familiar with it, where you can come in and create tags and write articles, and things are segmented into books and pages within those books. It's a great way to build an internal knowledge base, or to build a collaboration of things that you need to share with other people in the organization. Teams also allows you to add other tabs. And so this is where the integrations come in with either third-party products like Dropbox or Jira, Microsoft Project. You can basically create a tab for anything that you would like to be able to share things. If you've got a Word document that you would like to create and everybody has access to it, it's just a simple matter of creating the document and then sharing it out. You could also do like a website. If there's a website that you want to have loaded, that's just available in a tab. So it makes it very easy to collaborate with your team and keep everybody on the same page information-wise. One of the other amazing features of Teams is meetings and the ability to create meetings. So on the calendar page, you can start a meeting right away. You can schedule a meeting. You can create webinars, town halls, virtual appointments. Um, there's a huge number of ways that you can structure Teams, and they've made that functionality very flexible. Something a lot of folks don't realize is that even within your specific, even within each team and channel, there's a button right here to create an immediate meeting or to schedule a meeting with everybody who has access to that team. So everybody who's in that channel. So if you have, let's say, a operations team and you want that operations team to have a regular scheduled meeting every week, this is a quick way to come in and say, hey, I want to schedule a meeting. Or if you have a management team and you need to get together really quickly to discuss an item, you can simply go to that channel that has those people in it, say meet now, and it's going to immediately start a meeting and invite everybody to it. Let's talk about some productivity tips. One of the other features that we use heavily within Teams is this feature called tags. So what tags do is they allow you to create a group of people. So let's say within our group we have an IT support group, and then you can add people to that team. And when you're creating a post or when somebody is commenting, they can simply at that particular tag. And now that's only going to notify the people who are a part of that tag, the people who are a part of that. So it's like a subsection of a group of people. Maybe you have got a general channel with the whole company, but you only want to notify the IT department. I say, hey, IT support, look at this, or hey, sales, look at this. So tags are a really important way to make sure that your notifications are not becoming overwhelming, right? The problem with real-time communication is people are talking about things, but they're talking about things that not everybody needs to be aware of. So make sure you're only tagging the people who are necessary to see the information that you're trying to post, or it just becomes fatigue. People are not going to, they're going to start ignoring it. Speaking of notifications and settings, channel notifications and the ability to customize how you get notified of things is also very important to set up properly. So within Teams, each of your channels is going to have its own channel notifications. You can set it up where all new posts, it alerts you both in your banner and in your feed, the activity feed up here, and you can even have it notify you for replies. So if this is something it's your team, you're responsible for it, you probably want to know what's going on and be aware of all of the different posts as they come through. Or you can simply turn that information off and only be notified when somebody mentions you or a tag that you're a part of. So.
And to clarify, is there any way to automatically require notifications for all employees at an organizational level?
No, the notifications are individual to each user, and the user has to go and set those up. That's why tagging is so important. If you want the whole company to be aware of it, or everybody who's in there, then you're going to want to tag the entire team so that they're aware that that post has been made. Because by default, notifications are off. All right, so my recommendation for Teams is that you use it for announcements and short impact communication. So things like events, announcing new clients, announcing new products, that sort of thing. I highly recommend you still use email for long-term or permanent changes. So if you're updating policies or you're requiring certain training, maybe the parking lot policies have changed. Those are things you still want to send out by email because not everybody's going, things in Teams can scroll past. Teams is a collaborative environment where as you're posting things and people are interacting with it in real time, the more posts that happen, it's going to move off of the screen. So those are sort of your best practices for collaboration within Teams. And that wraps up what I have as far as the live demo side of things. Ben, what questions have you thought up while we're working through this?
So one of the challenging things that I think people have when they're trying to think, okay, what should I email and what should I use within the teams? And it sounded like you kind of had an idea around like urgent and important. If it's that combination, then it should be an email. But then how would you define when you should be using Teams and when you should be using emails, and like maybe give some more examples so it's a little bit more clear from a best practices perspective.
Short-term communication versus long-term communication. So if this is something that's a short term, even if it's urgent or important, throw it in Teams and use that important tag so that everybody can see it, right? Hey, we're ordering lunch in an hour and you need to get your order in. That's something you would want to put into Teams. Something that's longer term. Hey, we're changing the bathroom door code, right? That's something you would want to send out via email because that's something people are going to need to make sure that they see that they're going to process as part of their daily routine.
Got it. Makes sense. There's another one from the Teams file share sync integration. So this is also going to be, from my understanding, a manual process as well, right? Like every individual has to indicate what specific team SharePoint file systems that they want to sync over to their desktop, right? What does that process look like? And if you have 20 teams, do you have to do you have to go and make sure that those are synced properly? And how does that work?
So this comes down to file management practices. Within your organization, how do you structure and organize where your files are stored and how they're structured? You While you do want things organized properly, you also want to limit. You want to limit it, right? You think people don't need to go to 20 different places to try and find a file. So what we do is what internally within each team, because the teams are structured again around how the company is structured. Within each team, we have one channel that has files. None of the rest of the channels have files. So that limits us to maybe 2 or 3. You'll have operations or sales. You'll have a very few number of channels that you need to have files synced on.
Okay. Yep, makes sense. And then from the app integration perspective, uh, I've seen so like for instance, I know that we've got an IT app that we integrate with our clients. Can you show an example of an application that gets integrated and why you want it integrated versus not?
Yeah, absolutely. So a great way to look at this is here's a task I need done. If somebody throws a post out there, or you're in the midst of communicating with somebody about, hey, here's a task, or there's work that's being generated out of a conversation. You can click on the 3 little dots. You can go to more actions, and you can create a planner task. So Microsoft Planner is the ability to, it's an application within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem that allows you to schedule tasks and do task management. So I can add this task. And now within Teams, if I want to add that Planner app, I can click the 3 little dots. I can add Planner. I can pin this so that it always exists in my main bar. And now any tasks that have been assigned to me or that have been created are going to show up here within Planner. And again, it's just a matter of creating those either directly out of here. You can create them directly in Planner. You can reference them within Teams or messages that you're creating. So that's an example of an application integration. There's a bajillion of them. Microsoft Shift Scheduler is something I've used in the past. It's very powerful, allows you to set up, here's shifts that are available. We need people to sign up for them, tracking who's on duty when. There's almost an unlimited amount of power and capability that you can use. We have for our clients an IT app that puts our client portal directly within Teams that allows them to create tickets directly within Teams and even open up live chat.
Makes sense. And then you can also add in like low code and no code automation platforms as an app within here and interact within Teams. I know we just did this a couple of weeks ago, but we added in every time we get a review coming in from the outside world. We're the no, low code automation is watching for that to happen, and then it pushes it to a channel so that employees can get notified of all the cool stuff that we're hearing and what clients are saying. So it kind of takes something from the outside and then populates value for the company on the internal automatically. So there's some cool stuff that you
Absolutely.
can do.
And it can go even further than that because the Microsoft Power Apps platform even has AI chatbots baked into it. So you can point a chatbot or you can point the
Mhm.
AI at a database or at a source of information, and then you can query it. You can ask real language, natural language questions within Teams, chatting with a bot to access that information in that database of info. You can do things like Power BI. So if you have a database or you've got dashboards that you've built that operate within your organization of, hey, here's how many widgets we've manufactured, here's how many things we've shipped. You can bring those Power BI dashboards directly into Teams to make them visible to everybody. And you
Makes
can add
sense.
those either here on the main sidebar, or you can add them here within a particular, within a specific channel as well. So there's multiple ways so you're limiting the visibility or you're forcing visibility on those things, depending on how you want to do it.
Makes sense. I think a lot of clients are using, a lot of businesses are using a lot of disparate other types of consumer grade tools, right? And so they're having all of these different things in all these different spots. And if it makes sense to maybe, oh, well, my reporting might be better with Microsoft Power BI, and then guess what? Then it can be integrated in here and you're paying less on licensing. So it kind of like
Mm-hmm.
allows you to be in one platform. I can see the value of that.
Or even like we do internally, we've got a meeting application called Stretty that manages all of our corporate meetings and our EOS platform. And
Mhm.
Stretty has an app that just integrates directly into Teams, right? So we're able to look at all of the Stretty content from within Teams. We're just taking those third-party apps and centralizing their location, so people don't have to have a whole bunch of shortcuts or what was the link to that thing again, or what was that tool called? It's always right here. This is sort of your launching point, if you will, for everything within the organization.
Nice. Okay, so we've got one question from Michael. He said, "What is the outlook for the VoIP side of Teams? I've seen clients request a look at migrating from cloud PBX to on-premise or premise to a cloud. What does that roadmap look like?" So one of the things that Microsoft has done not very well is the VoIP platform. The call system and structure is pretty rudimentary. It works for super basic needs, but if you have any sort of complexity, any sort of contact center, you need reliability. Multiple data centers on the back end. Like you're not gonna want to go that route. You're gonna want to go towards a separate hosted platform that will ultimately integrate into Teams. Obviously, Microsoft is going to work on it over time, but it's not like a huge focus of theirs. They're making incremental change from what we've seen, so it is getting better, and it's also not particularly cost effective as well. So there's kind of a few different angles going on there from at least from what we've seen. So I think if you want reliability and support, you're going to want a third party hosted platform because it's going to be
Yeah.
a lot better reliability in what they do. They're the core of it. Microsoft is kind of leading. It's too important for so many businesses. It's just critical to what they do. They want reliability. They want something they can trust. And then having integration into Teams can get you like 80 to 90% of the functionality typically.
Yeah,
So
Teams was
that's
even
kind of what we're
missing
seeing.
major voice functionality, things like a
Disappointing.
virtual attendance, press 1, 2, 3 for different things, or call
Yeah.
queues. That type of functionality didn't even exist until a few months ago. So there's and then when it did come out initially, it was extraordinarily limited. You could have one or two. So the functionality of the phone system within Teams is just not great for most organizations. Um, but they're improving it. We'll see how they do moving forward.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, Michael did say also, he said, seems like most have stuck with Mitel or legacy on-premise systems. And so yeah, they're at the mid-size and the corporate, they are taking a lot longer to transition than honestly we would have expected over to a cloud platform, primarily due to cost considerations and going from a CapEx model to an expense model. So there's like kind of an economic gate that's happening as well. So that's separate though. But yeah, I think it'll improve over time. I don't think it. I think that obviously a third party hosted that's going to be a much better solution. So
Yeah, and again, the pricing on it is really weird as well. They've got some pay-as-you-go models. They've got some unlimited within certain country models, but it
yeah,
gets really, really pricey. And then trying to do any sort of reporting out of it is non-existent, right? There's a lot of stuff that's missing.
Cool. I think that wraps up the high level overview. I think we will plan to go deeper on each of the teams within teams and do more specific things relating to it in the future. So I'm excited to see where we go with this. Oh, we've got one more question. Are AI features included in the Business Pro licensing uh, within Microsoft?
So business premium is the license that we strongly recommend. It's the license that has the most features packed into the best price right now that it exists on the Microsoft side. Business premium does include some of the basic functions of Copilot. So you can go in and ask Copilot generic questions, ask it to create images, and all of that stuff is under the Microsoft 365 agreement. So you're able to keep all of your data controlled within your Microsoft 365 environment. It does not include business specific functionality. So Copilot does have a premium license that can be added, and that premium license gives you the ability to search back through Teams messages, through Outlook emails, through documents that you have. It expands the functionality of the AI, basically creating your own large learning model within your organization that's specific to those users who have that license.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks for your time, Ernest, and have a good rest of the day, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye bye.